What is up, guys? Welcome out to the Bruin Bible. We're going to let some people file in as this was kind of an impromptu live session that we put together earlier today. I got the madman to my right. I got Wayne Cook below me. We're going to let some people come on in. And in the meantime, I'm going to read off our advertisements from Bet Online. Guys, Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on your $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200K. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker. Unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. BetOnline, the game starts here. Any score update with the Dodgers right now, guys? Anything
Man, it's 6-5 right now.
6-5.
Yeah.
5. All right, man. That is a series to keep an eye on, man. Padres, Dodgers in the playoffs. It feels like this year's just been a little bit more crazier than others. We got Junior Ortiz in. We got Coach Rowan. All right, I think we're ready to start this thing off. We got enough people. I'm going to count it down from 5. We got Wine Time Sports coming in saying we got Wayne Cook in the building. Yes, we do, man. Yes,
sir.
Do.
The one and only, you know.
Oh, gosh.
Coming in at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What is up, and welcome to the latest edition of the Bruin Bible. We had him on last week. It only felt right to bring him back. It had been too long because we had him on before last week's episode. The guy who was in Happy Valley himself, Mr. Wayne Cook, in the building, your former Bruins quarterback. Mr. Wayne Cook, how are we doing, man? And talk to me about the Happy Valley experience as you saw UCLA unfortunately lose 27-11, but a lot of progress was made out there for the football program.
So first of all, if any Bruins get a chance the next time we go there, and I don't have any idea when that is, you should go. It's incredible. The state is beautiful. I had to do about 400 miles of driving, but it was and long flights and all that good stuff. But what's really important, you guys, I think, before we even start today, and I don't want to derail this, Happy Valley was great. I saw some positives in the game. I know nobody wants to hear this at this point, but literally I hope everybody grasps the concept that up until this point of the season, nobody has played a tougher schedule than us.
Yeah,
we have literally played number 18, number 13, and these are current rankings as of like right now, and then we played 2 top 5 teams in a row. Number 3 and number 4. I mean, this is an insane schedule. Absolutely insane. I tried to look for other schedules that are even remotely close.
Nothing.
I could not find them. Now, are there other people that are more backloaded? Yeah. And UCLA, as of today, doesn't have another ranked team on its schedule. Now, some of that might change. Like I have a feeling Nebraska might creep in there and some other teams, but it doesn't mean it's easy. That doesn't mean it's easy. But I went through this and I was laughing. I'm like, Oregon's played 1 ranked team, Boise State. SC's played 2. They're 1-1, LSU and Michigan. And then Washington, they played 1. They had a big win against Michigan. I looked at Washington's schedule, and I'm like, Weber State, Eastern Michigan, Washington State, Northwestern, Rutgers, Michigan. I'm like, we get at least 3 out of that. Okay, at least 3. So we're not as bad as the record. I joked around after the game, after the interview, and again, I'm not going to lie. I had a really good experience. I went into this game thinking we were going to have a hard time winning that game on the road against a really good team like Penn State. And I came out of it thinking, you guys, our defense is for real. Our rush defense is really good. It really is. Our pass rush with Femi, woo, he was putting some pressure on Drew Aller all day. And so that's going to help. So to me, I look at what we've gone through, and it's just crazy that this team has had to deal with that. But if they survive it up here, if they still feel like they can be a good team, and I think they do, I think we've got a chance. But we've got to figure out, as you guys all know, we can't win if we're not scoring points.
Absolutely, man. And to kind of touch upon that last point of offense, we saw the first start of Justin Martin's career. We thought there might be an opportunity there with Ethan Garbers going out with, I believe, is a high ankle sprain at this point in time. Martin comes in, and, we didn't score our final touchdown until our final drive of the game. But where I came away impressed, Wayne, was this is, by any stretch of, the means, probably a top 5 defense in college football this year. You're playing in one of the most intimidating environments, maybe the most intimidating environment in all of college football. And Justin Martin played turnover-free football, completed, 22 of his 30 passes for 167 yards, moved the ball. Yes, I know the offensive line switch helped, with Sam Yoon moving to center and, Josh Carlin going back to his natural position. But I came away incredibly impressed by what we saw from our guy, Justin Martin, who we've been kind of waiting for him to come through. We had Dorian for his final year returning. We had Garbers, Dante Moore, and a slew of other quarterbacks, Colin Schlee being one of those guys kind of taking the quarterback reps last year. We've been waiting on the Justin Martin experience, and we finally got to witness it in a game that, was a very nationally televised game. Gus Johnson was on the call. Talk to me about, Justin Martin and what you saw on the sidelines from the new quarterback, because given the circumstances, I think I came away very, very impressed, and I think there might be a quarterback competition brewing here if Garbers doesn't get healthy soon enough.
So, okay, wow, there's a lot to tackle here because, first of all, we'll start with this. Justin Martin handled this situation awesome. His poise was incredible. I actually thought that, especially in the first half, I thought the play calling was really smart. I thought a lot of quick stuff. I love it when people get carried away because I watched this play 100 times, and I'm like, I'm 53 years old, and I could have thrown the swing, the one to Harden, to TJ. I mean, he was wide open. It was like the best throw I've seen in years at UCLA. I'm like, well, it was nice. I liked it, but college quarterback should be able to make that throw when a guy's got 5 yards around him with nobody else there. So, it was wonderful. I loved the touch. I loved the touch on the throw to Loya. And by the way, couple good things here. One, I knew this last week, you guys. I couldn't tell you, but I hinted at something that was going to happen on the O-line. We were more athletic up front than we've been all year. We were less slow and more athletic. We could move. That was a great defensive front, and we did very, very well. I believe we had 2 sacks that we gave up the whole game. That's awesome. Justin Martin showed poise, and he did everything we asked him to do. He had, and again, we talk about this all day, and I think that he was hurt last week. But Logan Loya being in the lineup, both times he's been the starter, has been our best receiver. How could we have known that? Well, we saw it all year, like last year, and he's good. And he just has this uncanny ability of being open all the time. He just knows how to slide and move and create space. And if you're Justin Martin, you're smart enough to know, because you've watched this guy in practice for a while, I think this guy could be my security blanket. I'm going to throw it to him. So the idea was, it was a really smart game plan. We got rid of the ball quick. That's a great comment right there. He does. Logan Loya is that good. He's that good. I love it when he's on the field too. I agree with that comment down there. Is that a new touch, guys? I like that.
We had comments,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But listen though. So we should be happy for Justin Martin, because he looked amazing. I do want people to grasp the concept that there's a lot of nuance to playing quarterback, and I promise you that we weren't going downfield as much. I think some of you forget some of the really nice intermediate and downfield throws that Ethan Garbers can make that take a little bit more time to develop. We should be really happy for Sam Yoon, who I told the story of several years back. We were hanging out, and Chip Kelly said, hey, this guy's going to be really good. And every time I've watched him in practice, and I thought this was a good move, especially with all the snaps that were not good. And if you watch the game, I think I only saw one that wasn't where it really should have been. For the most part, the snaps were coming back at that perfect kind of floater pace. And again, I don't know if everybody knows what I'm talking about, but from that close, when the snaps are hot and off, it throws the timing of everything off. And it just felt like, Justin, you shouldn't even be thinking about catching the snap. That shouldn't be your first thought. You shouldn't be sitting there thinking about everything you've got to think about as a quarterback and going, gosh, I hope I get the snap. That should be like an automatic. It should just be like going, like it's like walking. So that was awesome. And I thought the athleticism on the O-line was awesome. I thought the game plan to have Justin Martin get rid of the ball quick. But you guys, listen, he's 6'5". He's got a strong arm. He showed touch a couple of times. He showed that he could throw the ball with a little oomph. He's got a strong arm. So there's a lot there. I said it before the game and the pregame, though. I mean, sometimes you'll notice Justin will literally lock in on a guy, and he'll stay on that guy. There was a moment in the game where I saw him look inside and throw a guy outside. I was like, oh, my gosh, that's it. Do that more, Justin. So that's the kind of stuff that if he is the player that they decide to keep going with, he's gonna get better at all that stuff. But eventually, let's be honest, We scored 3 points in that game until the very, 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 very end. So at the end of the day, again, our red zone offense, when we get down near scoring territory, kicking game's been fine. I love it. I love our punting and our field goal kicking right now. I'm like, yay. But we have to score some touchdowns. Like, literally have to score some touchdowns. So no matter who the quarterback is, their goal needs to be, because I think the line, this is it right now. I think we found it. I think we stick with this, and I think we let these guys develop at this point. Berger, really all of our running backs were better in this game. If you take away the negative yards, because Martin also did some early Dorian Thompson-Robinson stuff, right, by like taking like 17-yard sacks. So you got to make sure you don't go backwards, go forward, and because Dorian used to do that when he was young. He would go backwards and take huge losses. So do that, get rid of the ball. But when we ran the football, if you look at the numbers of our running back, they did much better against a really good defense. And remember, this week, if you watch Minnesota at all, they're susceptible to being able to run the ball a bit, right? So hopefully that's going to be a huge part of the game plan this week, so we can actually establish some sort of running game.
Yeah, no, Wayne, so well said on so many fronts. I mean, I want to double click a little bit at the start of what you said, just to sort of reiterate the schedule, just in terms of where we are. I mean, you said it best, Wayne, 18, 13, 3, and 4. And guess what? None of these 4 teams, Wayne, are going to be out of the top 25 at any point in this season. Some of those other teams that you mentioned, even SC, I mean, like Michigan's number 24. They're probably going to be unranked by the end of the year.
They maybe should be now, by the way.
They're going to be out of the top 25. Is going to be 1 or 2 ranked teams. To go 4 straight the way they have, combined record of these 4 teams 20-1. One loss was with 2 minutes left in the game when SC beat LSU. That's it. Otherwise, all 4 of these teams have been clean sheets. So we've had a murderer's row schedule. And I think, Wayne, you said it so well in terms of the Justin Martin, Ethan Garber's sort of, I don't even want to call it a comparison, but just sort of when you sort of look at them side by side, I think 3 things really helped Martin. One is, to your point, the realignment of the offensive line, you at center, Carlin back at guard. That was just absolutely significant in terms of being able to throw as well as being able to run. Number 2, I think Bieniemy finally called a really good game. To your point, it just kind of, let's get it out quick, short throws, a lot of stuff to the backs, a lot of stuff to Loya, a lot of stuff to the tight end. It was sort of 1-2 read and go. And so kind of simplifying that. And then, Wayne, I think to your point, really determining that Femi is going to be this long-term edge from a pass rush perspective actually kept UCLA in the game to be able to allow Bieniemy to stick to that short passing game. So there was a lot that I think went into setting up Justin Martin for success. Now, having said that, to your point, I think those long strides, the mobility, Gus Johnson actually alluded to it. It's a little premature to start with, but you can kind of see it. He said he kind of moves like Vince Young. I mean, and you can kind of see it a little bit in terms of those long, big strides. And what I also really loved about Justin Martin, Wayne, is the arm angles. I think there was some 3-quarter throws. There was some shortstop type throws to kind of get away from kind of the rush and the hands up with the rush. So I think there's a lot to like. Wayne, I'm kind of curious to get your thoughts as we sort of move forward here. Now, I've always said this is now when the season begins. We were kind of hitting above our weight the last 3 or 4 weeks. Can we go 5-2 these last 7, get the bowl game? Because I think it's absolutely critical to Deshaun Foster's success to be able to get a bowl game in year 1. When you combine the fact that the amount of talent this team is losing at the end of this year and not being able to have an additional platform game for recruiting, not being able to have additional 15 or 20 practices in December, I think is going to make all the difference in the world of how we think about 2025. So this is really pivotal. And I think the season actually is on the line this week against Minnesota. It's a must-win situation. I think if we go down to 1-5, the likelihood of being able to get to bowl eligibility is slim to none. What is the key matchup for you kind of looking into this week with Minnesota? Obviously, last week we saw the shocker against SC. It seemed like they were able to kind of run the ball very strongly against SC power running game. Darius Taylor, big 215-pound back. Our defensive line sometimes gets a little bit susceptible to sort of wearing down in these long physical drives, like those 2 90-plus yard drives with LSU. But on the flip side, Minnesota, I think the interior of that front 7 is a little soft. They got 2 tremendous edges, But I think that the interior, there's an opportunity to run the ball. How are you seeing this matchup, and what do the Bruins have to do here to ultimately come out with a victory on Saturday?
Well, I mean, there's a ton there. I'm with you on almost everything you said. I like the idea that we keep getting better. I like the idea that in the locker room, because I think this matters. I think, I'm answering your question, but I'm doing it the long-winded way, which I normally do. The mental part of this matters a ton. There are teams out there that are whooping up on lower-level teams, but while they're doing that, they're building confidence and they're feeling good about what they're doing. And it's kind of tricky. You want to be tested, but you also want to have some success. This murderer's row that we've just gone through has to have athletes like up at night going, God, what can we do better? Like, I'm getting whooped by these people. Like, if you're an offensive lineman, like, I don't care who you are. Any of the offensive linemen that have one-on matchups against elite talent on the other side are losing some of these battles, and that messes with your head a little bit. All athletes go through this. And so the fact that I'm in the locker room after the game and I see coaches and I see, like, everybody's like, they know that they lost the game, but it's almost like they have that look in their eyes, like we are not done. Like, they didn't look defeated to me at all. They looked upset about the loss, but they looked like a team that was like, we're going to get this. They're still fighting to find that whatever it is, and I think they're noticing that it's getting closer. So that being said, going into this Minnesota game, and I just watched, pretty much the whole thing, I think the running back, Darius Taylor, is going to be is that who it is? Yeah, Darius Taylor. Number one, he's a legit player. I also will point out, just so you guys know, that like I truly don't think SC's all that this year. I still think they're not quite there. I like their quarterback. They have some talent. They're running the ball better, and they did so against. But I still don't think their line play is that great. I don't. They put a lot of pressure on Miller Moss. I think that. So it's hard to, I think people want to see SC, and even the announcers during that game were like, oh, this defense is so much better. It's nowhere near as good as UCLA's defense was last year. It's not even close. I watch it, and I'm like, yeah, they're not what UCLA was last year. So whatever Dan Lynn's doing, he's doing a good job, and they've got some good players, don't get me wrong. But I don't know what to take because Minnesota, you guys, if you look at their schedule, their wins are what they lost to North Carolina, and we know that that's not good. They beat Rhode Island and Nevada. And
SC was their first Power 5 win.
Yeah, I mean it was like their first kind of good win. They kind of got whooped by Iowa, and they hung in there against Michigan. Like, and again, Michigan's another one of those teams that's not what we think.
Quarterback,
right? So like, to me, listen, they're going to be a well-coached team. I do like their Max Bozemer is a good player. I think now I really feel this way. I mean, like, literally feel like with Femi basically being like, he's our edge guy right now. He's basically like, let's call him one of the Murphys. Okay, I'm not gonna say he's Latu, but he's like one of the Murphys. He looked that good in the game. As I'm watching the film, I'm like, he's putting pressure. Even when he didn't get to him, he was like causing problems. And if you throw, Matt Stevens pointed it out during the game, when he was on the same side with Latu and they tried to run that, they got nothing. So like, this was a really good team that the defense really showed up. So I'm going to come back to the same thing I'm going to say for the rest of the year. If the offense can figure out not only how to move the ball and have a little bit more balance and establish a run game, we have to be like not just a little bit better, but like 1,000 times better in the red zone. We have to start scoring some points. When literally we're still sitting there going, our best game is 17 points after 5 games. That's and I don't care what the schedule is. In modern day college football, you need to score more points than that. And so we've got to do a better job of getting points on the board. And again, we saw glimpses of the run game. Let's stick with it. The offensive line's only going to get better the more they play together. We still have to find a way, like, you guys, we don't throw to our outside receivers at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and again, I don't have the answers for this, but we didn't under Chip Kelly either. It's like they're just out there. So, you know what I mean? We've got to find a way to really become an offense that we can be proud of, and I think it starts up front. But once we solidify that, now it's time to, like, we got to start hitting some passes downfield and making the defense. Because defenses right now could just play us. I mean, they could just play tight. They just bring everybody up. We don't go over the top at all. Remember, our big play was like a wheel route to the running back. We got to get some plays downfield.
Yeah, and this game to me is a battle of two sides of the defense. UCLA, for all of their faults, Wayne, they rank 25th in the nation right now in terms of yards per game allowed on the ground. Like, they've been absolutely awesome. And you look at these games where Penn State, Oregon, complete teams that are in the top 5. It looked like they were going to pull away in both of these contests. In the second half, they're up by 2 or 3 scores at that point. They're trying to run the football. UCLA's forcing punts in these games. They're getting them off the field. The run defense has been great. We've obviously talked about Jay Toia. But, Wayne, on the first part of my question, I want you to kind of dote on this offensive, the defensive front that we've gotten. Carson Schwessinger is not getting the love he deserves. 15 tackles in this game, including 6 solo. He's been outstanding. We talked about Vaughns. Ali Kao was in there making some plays, too, against Penn State. This linebacking room and what Toia is allowing them to kind of dictate with the run game, I think has been one of the more underrated, talking points within UCLA as a whole. So I thought that's been outstanding. And then when it comes to Minnesota, this defense, when you look at the total rankings, yes, they've played some duds. We know about Michigan and their lack of a quarterback room. We know about Iowa and their lack of an offense. But when it came time to put what they had on the tape last week against USC, they forced 2 turnovers against Miller Moss. They made him look pretty pedestrian with a coach for USC that is known as a quarterback whisperer. Love or hate, Lincoln Riley and USC. He is one of the best at developing quarterbacks in the entire country. And forced 2 turnovers, 200 yards passing through the air. I guess the 2 questions I got is talk to me about what's going right with this run game. And then talk to me about Minnesota with UCLA's quarterback situation. Would you send out a guy right now in Justin Martin where, statistically speaking, this is the numbers as it stands right now, would you send out Justin Martin with the number 1 passing defense in Minnesota in terms of yards per game allowed for the opposing team with a guy who just had his first start a week ago?
So there's a lot there. First of all, let's go back to Jay Toia, just because we can never talk about Jay Toia enough. He's awesome. He's an All-American type player. For UCLA to be on the field as much as they are and losing as much as they are, and for him to be that kind of presence that demands double teams, and our rush defense has been incredible. You mentioned Ali Cajo. I actually thought it was awesome to get him back because he made a difference in this game. You still got Kane. Carson Schwessinger is playing lights out. I fell in love with him last spring. I went, wow, who is this guy? I'm like, I hadn't even watched him play before. I'm like, this guy looks amazing. And I made the comment before the season even started that he looks like your old-fashioned Big Ten type linebacker. And
he reminds me of Havener, Wayne.
Yeah, but you know what, Spencer was so athletic, and I think we're learning that about I'm forgetting his name right now. I just said it, Schlesinger. I tell you guys, I teach 8th graders all day, so sometimes the brain's a little off by this time. But you're right. Havener was a little bit taller and leaner. I think Schlesinger is a little bit more stout. But man, they both can run. They play sideline to sidelines, and it's funny. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but each game it seems like Carson gets better. He just feels like he's getting more and more comfortable, and it's like Matt Stevens again. I hear him every day. Someone said Zumwalt. I mean, remember those guys were, you could say Brandon Chiller's next. We throw out all the previous white linebackers that played for UCLA. But the idea is that he's just got a nose for the football. He's got an absolute nose for the football, and it's awesome. And it kind of frees Kane up too. And Kane can do his thing. So we've got very athletic linebackers, like very much so. And when you have Jay Toia up front, that matters a ton. And then put Femi on the outside who could play inside or outside. And we're getting there. We're really getting there. And we're not even talking about the secondary, which I think is doing a fantastic job too. So good with that. I want to talk about, so you mentioned Iowa's defense also. They have like 10 interceptions this year. They have several players with 2. Like these guys are ball hawks, like you pointed out. So to look at what they do on defense, I do think they're susceptible to the run. I think we should be able to, like if we put it all together up front and call a good balanced game plan, we should be able to get our running game should have its best game yet. I'm predicting we're going to have our best game yet. So that is something that I'm excited about. The question about the quarterback, and again, this is you gave me an absolute no-win question. Because I always know how like people watch, Justin last week and they're like, yeah, that's it, man. He's the guy. Let's just go with him. Garbers can go away. And I say tap the brakes on that a little bit. I think that if we can see Ethan Garbers play with a better offensive line, with more of a run game, and his maturity and his ability and his experience, I think, now granted this is if he's healthy, I think he can do a good thing. But here's what happened though, and this is the part that I hate about football because I've been a quarterback. Justin Martin shortened the leash. Right? So now you know what Justin can do and you know his poise. And by the way, if Ethan's ankle's not right, because part of what Ethan brings to the table is his ability to run. And we can argue all day of who's better at running, Justin or Ethan. And I would say they're both fairly good at it. And I thought Justin Martin had a play late in the game or on the first drive of the second half. We had a zone read, and it was like I'm on the sidelines going, keep it, because the guy totally crashed down, and that was when we went 3 and out, and it was kind of a dud start to the second half, and I thought he should have kept it. Little plays like that maybe don't jump off the screen, but that could be a huge difference in getting like a big play on first down by having a quarterback run, and then it kind of opens things up because now everybody's worried about Justin keeping the ball, and it opens up the run game. So that was a kind of a big play in the second half, in my opinion. It was one of the first plays. So I'll go back to this. I think Justin did great. I think, like you said, we limited everything and we kind of made it as easy as we could for him. I have 100% confidence in him, and I actually think he can get a lot better the more he plays. So if it's his turn and Ethan's not ready and he can't come back and he keeps playing and he keeps getting better, then that's it. But if Garbers comes back, and I think if he's healthy, I think we could probably do more, especially with the O-line, the snaps being better and all that stuff, the running game getting better. I would like to see what that looks like because we haven't seen it yet, right? Against a little bit lesser of an opponent, and I say that with much skepticism because I actually think Minnesota's solid. I don't think they're great, but I think they're solid, and I think pretty much every team on our schedule is at least solid. We don't have a bad one out there. We don't get to play Purdue. Right, we don't get to play like that. I would probably say that might be one but everybody else can play, so we've got to bring it. So I'm going to say I would go with Garbs if he's ready, but if he's not, 100% support Justin Martin and what I think he can do. I just would rather have the experience if he's healthy.
Yeah, Wayne, I'm with you. I think that there could even be a world here where they might both get a little bit of run, this week, but I think it hasn't really been an apples to apples comparison.
No.
When you factor in the line change, when you factor in the play calling change, when you factor in the adjustments that the coaches have made. Let's see how Garbers plays, assuming he's 100% with those adjustments. And then I think to your point, Wayne, if we're still sort of lagging in performance, then it's a conversation. And I also think there's kind of an inflection point, Wayne, in the schedule as well. We got Minnesota this week. We're at Rutgers next week, and then there's a bye. And so if it doesn't kind of go Garbs' way, this week and next week, then I think there's an opportunity to kind of leverage that bye and say, okay, now we got to kind of maybe think about next year and kind of get this kid ready potentially with a great, QB battle with Madden, who's going to come in here and the other guys potentially for next year. So I'm with you.
So just one comment on that, and I don't. You're too logical to have the nickname Madman. By the way, this stuff makes a lot of sense. You don't sound crazy at all. I really think that, and I don't want anybody out there to think this. I absolutely love Justin Martin. If you've ever met him, he's like the nicest guy in the world. He's smart. We've talked about it. Like Will and I, we've talked about it. When you watch him at practice, you're like, my gosh, this guy's got like everything you need, right? And he's a great kid. So whoever ends up playing, this has nothing to do with playing favorites at all. I really think we all, like everybody that's been around these guys knows that they're high character people. So, and so we're hopeful, like whoever ends up getting in there, I want them to play the best games of their life. I'm not rooting for anybody. I'm rooting for the team.
Yeah, and I think my question got kind of misconstrued. I said, would you throw out Justin Martin knowing the defensive threat that Minnesota is in the pass game. I wasn't picking.
No, I know you weren't.
No.
Will, we didn't take it that way. I'm always afraid of what people are going to, that wasn't you. I always want to explain myself because I want to make sure everybody listening knows that, like, literally, like, I was, like, really impressed. I was sitting with Freddie Mitchell on the sidelines and Brian Poley-Dixon, and we were like, he looks good. Now, we were all offensive guys, so we were frustrated that we were having issues with things like this, and this is fun. This is the kind of stuff we need to talk about. Like, we're literally getting near the red zone, and we have Loya, for example, on one side of the field and, like, trips to the other side. And there's literally 20 yards of just one-on-one coverage and nothing but end zone to run a route. And, of course, I'm near receiver, so, like, oh, my God. We're, like, pointing at this. We got all this space. Pick a play. Pick a route. And let your guy Logan Loya or J-Mike or whoever was out there isolated, let him just Freddie even at one point, and by the way, I'm sorry, Freddie, if you're listening to this, I shouldn't do this because I'm telling secrets, but he's pointing at, he's like, dude, just run a comeback to the front pylon. Like, it's there. So, like, but again, we have to get to the points where we feel confident enough with the quarterback, we can say, hey, listen, we're just going to go one-on-one with whoever out here, and we're going to make a play. And I know we can do that, but it's just something that we're not seeing enough of, especially in the red zone. We're just getting stymied. So I would rather go with a healthy quarterback that's a little bit more experienced. And by the way, we've seen a lot. We watched him do some really good things last year, so it's not like Garbers has never played well before. He was just getting beat up the whole first part of the season, and a lot of that's not his fault. And then he probably tried to do too much, which led to some turnovers, which one of the things that people are really happy about Justin, he didn't turn the ball over.
Right.
And which is, he did have the one fumble, which, by the way, was a whiff by somebody. And he got hit, and then he dropped the ball, but he fell right back on it. So that was a great play by him.
Wayne, where I want to kind of take the conversation here from quarterback is coaching. And this is a very interesting game when you talk about PJ Fleck. What really sort of struck last week and what has struck sort of historically is how this guy's always playing chess in terms of number of possessions, time management, was very sort of surgical on when he wanted to go for it on fourth down, when he wanted to punt. He's always kind of playing 2 and 3 possessions ahead. And that, I think, more than anything, enabled Minnesota to upset SC. Each team only had 9 possessions, Wayne, and the fact that he was able to, off of a tie game, essentially hold the ball for 7 minutes, and then, get that touchdown with 55 seconds to go. It was a masterclass, frankly, in terms of clock management. How do you think about pace of game this week with Minnesota? And UCLA's had to kind of shorten the game, and it's been longer drives just because we haven't quite had the horses in the stable against some of the schedule. But in this particular game, do you think it benefits UCLA to have a slower game with fewer possessions, or is this an opportunity perhaps to speed up tempo, maybe go hurry up, maybe get Fleck and Minnesota sort of out of that methodical comfort zone? And what are you sort of looking for in terms of the chess match, particularly between Deshaun Foster and PJ Fleck this week?
So, first of all, it was funny because I'm sure you watched the same thing. I watched the SC Minnesota game, and they showed chess being played with the players. and I actually had this thought, and I'm probably talking to myself. I'm like, does that really help football players? I had that thought. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just old. I'm like, I'm sure it's strategy and all that. They talked about how brilliant it was, and I'm like, okay, I'm sure there's more important things than playing chess. But like, so I'm going to answer your question. I probably shouldn't have said that stuff. Can we cut that out? Oh, no, wait a second. This is live. No, hey, Cook, you're just old and you're too stupid to realize. Chess is like the number one reason why teams win. No. But anyway, my point is what you just asked. I don't think it matters. I think what matters the most to UCLA is executing. We've heard about it all year. They're not doing hurry up. They're in the huddle calling plays that are really long and doing the thing, and that's the offense. So I don't think they're going to rush. I think they're going to run. They're going to do their game plan. They're going to send in the plays using the helmets, and they're going to, they're going to call their plays and they're going to run their plays. We need to execute. I brought up the time or two that, the couple times that Martin got hit, and remember, if you get hit because someone blitzes, that's not blocked. That's one thing. That's on the quarterback. But when you're getting hit, and it happened way less in this game than it did. And part of that was getting rid of the ball quick, right? And the other part of it was better blocking and better snaps and better, like all this stuff was better. And so, like, if you execute, like, we're at the point in the season right now where we've been playing against really, really good teams, like elite teams across the country, 2 top 5 teams in a row. You're gonna play a team where you're probably gonna match up with better. The run game, as I pointed out, I thought the reason why the time of possession thing was such a big deal in that game is both SC and Minnesota could run the ball. And when that's happening, you have these sustained drives. Now, also, if you paid attention, it was only 24-17, and it was 17-17 for a long time. So it wasn't like they were scoring a lot of points either. So there, to me, for UCLA to win this game and get their first win, keep doing what you're doing on defense. Okay, this is a good team, but it's not a great team by any stretch of the imagination. But they are a good team with a good quarterback and a good running back. They have a good O-line. I do like that. But I feel like our defense will match up well. I think we're going to do okay there. On the other side of the ball, you cannot keep putting your defense in horrible situations. We have to execute. We have to cut down on penalties. We have to make first downs. Build on the Logan Loya stuff. Build on getting the ball to Matavao. Include your outside guys, whoever they are. I don't care if it's Quasi. I don't care if it's J-Mike. I don't care if it's Carter Shaw. Get these guys, in some rhythm. Like throw some outs and some curls. Go deep and hit a post. I don't know what's going on with Rico Flores, but that was kind of a shock to a lot of us when I'm like, oh crud, he's in street clothes right now. I have no idea. I don't know if you guys have heard anything. I don't know, but he's a factor because he had been probably our one of our go-to receivers up till this point.
Best outside receiver.
Yeah, I mean, still leads the team in receiving yards.
Right. So we need to execute whether he's in the game or not. We know we have the weapons. We think we found an O-line that can move and can play and do a good thing. We think the running game's coming around. Keegan had some really nice runs in the game. So all of this stuff is trending towards our best offensive performance. We're not going to win if we don't score more than 17 points, though. You don't win a whole lot of games in big-time college football when you're not getting at least 20-something points. And so you're going to have to find a way to get some more points. So I'm just going to say speed up, slow down means nothing to me. Execute, make first downs, get in the red zone and score points. I'll take field goals or touchdowns. I really will. Like if you just got to get points. We can't keep having these empty drives.
Completely agree, Wayne, and I want to thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to leave you with a 2-part question to kind of close this thing out. We've been talking for weeks about getting Logan Loya finally involved in the offense, and last week it was very apparent he was back in the swing of things for UCLA. If you could wave your magic wand and kind of get one player involved that we haven't really seen a lot of, whether it's Sturdivant, whether we can get Rico Flores back, whether it's one of the trio of running backs we have back there, who would you want to see take a step forward for UCLA this week? And 2, you got to give us a game prediction on what's going to happen with Minnesota this weekend, Wayne.
That's an awesome question on offense. And I got to be honest with you. Like, I really want to have a game where, if we go back to last year, you have a game where, like, there's 4 or 5 different players that have 4 or 5 catches. Like, that's what I want. I don't want one guy to shine. I want Logan to go get 4 more or 5 more with a touchdown. I want Matavao to have 4 or 5 with maybe a touchdown. I would love to see J-Mike go deep. Right? Get J-Mike a deep ball or a post. If Rico plays, I want some curls and outs thrown to them. Like, I really want to see us throw some screens to Keegan and let him use his speed to, have some plays to get him on the edge. Like Berger, he had one play where he stepped to the right and put his foot in the ground and just shot up the middle. That was like, whoa. That's really explosive. He's coming around. Okay, and TJ, we lose track of the fact that he's a good blocker. He can be when he wants to be, and he gives it everything he's got. So, like, I just want to see a game where everybody gets involved. If we start focusing on trying to get one guy the rock too much, it's a problem. Like, because even when Logan Loya is doing well, you guys, it's not like he's the focal point. As a matter of fact, in this game, he was really good at first. Then we didn't hear him for a long time, and then he was really kind of good at the end. So, like, well, let's keep it consistent. Like, let's just get some consistency with this offense. So that to me is really important. I think this is our best chance for a win. I already told you that we're going to have to score some points for it to happen. I think our defense is up for the task. Don't sleep on Minnesota Bruin fans, though, so we need to get people out to the Rose Bowl. It's a perfect time for a game. We still have great weather, right? It's going to be awesome. Get to the Rose Bowl because, listen, if we can get a win and we can get this team getting some confidence, you don't know what's going to happen. This could be one of those years where they kind of run off some wins and start looking like a much better team. And it's really important, too, as all recruits start coming to these games, that they see an active crowd, that they see a fun Rose Bowl, and then they start seeing a team that shows that they're improving. And I think that's huge. I mean, you pointed it out earlier how important this game is for coaches, for recruiting, for the team, for everybody, for the fans too. We want to see progress. So I think this is going to be a win. I don't think it's going to be easy. It's going to be hard fought. But I think we're going to do a lot of things better, and I think this rough stretch is going to catapult us into some good things.
A win would be a welcome sign for Bruin fans. Wayne, thank you so much for coming on. Bruin Bible, guys, we are going to be live after the game. Make sure you stay tuned for that. Bruin Bible, we are officially out. We're going to try to get Wayne on as much as we can. Stay tuned, guys, for much more coming your way from LA Football Network.